Welcome to Ignite the CEO Within, the podcast where we dive deep into the minds of top business leaders to ignite your inner CEO. I'm your host, Mark McFatridge, founder of Quade. And with each episode, we bring you inspiring conversations with CEOs and business owners who share their experiences, insights, and lessons learned along the way. Get ready to be motivated, empowered, and equipped with the tools you need to succeed in your own leadership journey. Let's ignite the CEO within you. Welcome back to another episode of Igniting the CEO Within. I'm Mark McFatridge, founder and CEO of Quade. For those of you new to the Quade community, Quade is a community of CEOs and business owners who come together to challenge each other, to hold each other accountable, and to share experiences and expertise. One of the things that we love doing on this podcast is to tell the stories of our allies and how they got to the CEO suite. Today, we're doing something quite a bit different, and I have no idea how it's going to go. We're going to flip the script, and I've invited my good friend and Quade ally, Nikki Llewellyn-Gregory, the CEO and founder of People Forward Network, to be the host and to flip the script and put me on the spot and to hear my story and why Quade is here and what we're doing with Quade and all that stuff. So I have no idea how this is going to go, but Nikki is a pro and she's going to make it work. So Nikki, welcome.
Oh, well, Mark, I don't know whose idea this was, but it's fantastic. This is great. I'm loving the opportunity to spend time with you. And, you know, I'm a huge fan of peer groups. I have experienced the power of peer groups in various points of my life. The first one I got involved in was in my late 20s. I think I was about 28 years old. And I've kind of picked out some things that really make them magic. And the thing that I've fallen in love with Quade is the why behind Quade. I know you have a powerful story about why Quade, and I really want to spend some time today making sure that people know that they understand the why Quade began and the difference maker that Quade is, the uniqueness and differentiators, because I think you've taken all the pieces of your journey. You've been in a lot of peer groups and experienced that, and much of why Quade's here to be able to create Quade, which is really all encompassing to help, the CEO at whatever stage of being a CEO to truly advance their business and have the right people around them. So we're going to dig in and probably to no surprise, I want you to take us back to why. When did you start to see this opportunity for Quade, the story that brought Quade to life? Let's start there.
Yeah, it's awesome. Thank you for starting there. Quade, unbeknownst to me, Quade actually started in my head about 18 years ago when I first joined my first CEO peer group, and me joining that CEO peer group changed my life. And I don't say that lightly because it sounds pretty dramatic, but it did. I had earned my first president role, and me and my family were transferred from Indianapolis, Indiana to Springfield, Missouri, where I got the opportunity to lead all of Regions banks, community banks in the state of Missouri and Western Kentucky. And it was the first time either Deb or I had ever lived out of state. We didn't know anybody in the marketplace. I didn't know anybody on my management team. And it was the worst performing banking group in the company. And so, as you would guess, I don't like to fail, right? And so I was working my ass off, 50, 60, 70 hours a week. My wife, Deb, who's my incredible partner, was trying to get our kids and family situated in a brand new community. And I didn't have anybody to talk to because I didn't want to bring my work life home when she's already stressed and the kids are, doing great. But so I didn't have anybody to talk to. So I was getting torn up on the inside. And when I joined YPO, it changed my life because I now had 10 other people that I could talk to that understood the challenges and opportunities that come along with sitting in the president role, the CEO role, the business owner role. So the idea for Quade, really, the foundation for Quade really started back then, 18 years ago. Fast forward, had an amazing banking career, did a bunch of stuff, got to work with tons of business owners and CEOs and presidents and all the stuff, and was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with that the fourth quarter of my professional life. And I just kept coming back to the impact that the CEO peer group had on me. And I looked out, and I love YPO. I'm still a member of YPO, but you've got to do $15 million in revenue to join YPO. You've got to be under the age of 45. And there are so many companies out there that don't do those revenue numbers that I'm like, they need these owners, these business owners, these CEOs need that same support and network that I had. And so I'm like, I looked around at some options to be a franchisee of some, and I just didn't like their business model. So I said, screw it, I'm going to create my own, and we'll see where it goes. So that is probably a longer answer than you wanted on that, but that's how Quade got started, and that's why it did. And we launched in October of 21.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And before we go into who Quade was made for, I really want to dig into that. I want you to just share a couple of highlights around, your journey being a person in the seat. Like, we're allies. That's the verbiage that's used in Quade as a participant, a member in a peer group, or an ally. Your journey of being an ally, what were the couple of things that you picked out along your journey that you were like, this will absolutely be true as part of what we're doing as an ally? The things that you took that you are absolutely, this part is going to happen, that experience for the ally, what stands out?
Yeah, that's awesome. I think one of the things that I think people that have never sat in the CEO seat or the business owner seat or the entrepreneur seat, they don't realize the toll that it takes on the whole person, right? And so, one of the biggest things for me was to just be able to share what was going on in my personal life, right? And to have people that understood it and the stresses that being a CEO can put on a family and that type of stuff. So, that experience certainly made the foundation of what Quade is. We're talking about the whole person. We lead off every session with providing 3 words for representing mind, body, and soul. So where are you mentally, where are you physically, and where are you spiritually right now? And then rating yourself from 0 to 100%. And that's totally based on you, of what that means. So for me, that was one of the biggest things, that Quade is not a networking environment. Like, you don't come there for business development. Your network's going to expand and you're going to do more business, but it's not a networking piece. This is a community of people who understand who you are, what you are. They understand the challenges, the opportunities that come along in your personal, your family, your professional life, and you can talk to them about anything. So, yeah, great. Thanks for asking that, because that's a huge deal for us. Is only a CEO knows what another CEO is going through, right?
Yeah. Oh, totally. And not only do I get to be part of this podcast as the team at People Forward Network that brought the podcast to life and continues to see it grow, but I'm an ally in Quade, and I've been involved now. This is my 2nd year. And now that you said that about the differentiator, so much being around the whole person, I do think that that's a huge standout. And I'd love for you to share the uniqueness of that from the first activity that you do, in your first circle. There is no talk about business. Tell us a little bit more about what happens as an exercise to really bring to life that whole person approach.
Yeah. So, the way that any peer group is going to be successful is if there's trust and vulnerability, right? And you're not going to be vulnerable unless you trust people. So we hit it head on. Like the very first meeting that a new circle joins, we spend 95% of it not talking about business at all. And so we ask everybody to go around and give their life story in 6 minutes or so without mentioning business at all. And unfortunately, we're breaking the secret here, but we usually spring that on people. They don't know that going into it. And so, so many of us have associated our position with who we are. So people say, hey, tell me about yourself. And you immediately start out, well, I'm the CEO of Quade, right? But we want to break that immediately. And what we find, Nikki, is people get, first of all, they're caught off guard and they start thinking about it. And they're like, well, I grew up in a small town in central Indiana, and, my parents divorced when I was 5, and blah, 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 and all this kind of stuff. And all of a sudden somebody goes, you know what? I grew up in a small town not very far from there, and my parents divorced when I was young. And then all of a sudden you've got this, it just starts to feed on each other. And the vulnerability starts from day one. And once one person goes vulnerable, it is on. And that trust builds literally from the first meeting. And it is so powerful. And if I'm being honest, I stumbled into it. I had no idea. I'm like, I don't know. Let's see how, there's so many people that are studious about stuff. And sometimes I was like, I don't know, I'm going to wing it and see where this goes. And that was one of the things, but it is powerful. And it almost sets the tone for the entire, tenure of that whole circle.
Yeah, totally. I'm so glad that we got to shine a light on that, even though it is kind of like a secret and a surprise for how it kicks off. But I wanted to showcase that because I'm thinking, reflecting back on a couple of people that are my friends because of Quade. One has taught me so much about investing. I've never really learned outside of traditional business and, traditional ways of growing money. But I learned a new platform called Betterment because of someone that had shared just their passion and hobbies for that I've done some personal mentoring there. Another one I shared in my story on that first day about my kind of tragic experiences with relationships in the past, with romantic relationships. And now I have the best husband on the planet, and I got through a lot of that journey, but there was someone else that was going through a divorce. And then we became pretty close women pals. Now she's in a wonderful relationship, but just, I think the openness that I shared, like my failures, we quickly bonded and became friends, and I could go on, but just starting from that place versus, well, let's share our ideal client profiles and what we're
Right.
doing to, hire the next best talent on the team, right? It's just different. It's so different. So, Mark, walk us into the power of the CEO focus. So there's a lot of different peer groups out there with various disciplines of titles, but you chose to make this very much specific to the CEO function. Talk about the power in that, and maybe in other experiences you've seen in other groups where there's a variety of titles of people versus this one singular focus of the CEO.
Yeah, thanks. I think it goes back to that piece of only CEOs know what another CEO goes through, and those pressures, those opportunities, those challenges, the waking up at 3 a.m. and writing stuff down on your notepad beside your bed, like nobody else does that, right? And so even if you're a C-suite executive, you don't have the same challenges and opportunities as somebody where literally the buck stops with you, right? And so to me, it was so important to reduce it down to, people who have total control over hiring and firing and, what checks you write and all that kind of stuff. That was really important to me. So everybody is on the same plane. A lot of people use the phrase like-minded. I use the phrase like-situated because I think that's more important. And, one of the things that I think is really important that we have also focused on, Nikki, is diversity within our circles, right? And diversity is a whole lot of stuff, right? But I mean diversity of size of company, diversity of tenure in the CEO's suite, diversity of industry, revenue size, whatever. There's a lot of that goes into it too. So, while everybody has a similar title, like situated, they are going to come from different backgrounds. They're going to come from different industries. They're going to come from different revenue size companies and number of employees and all that kind of stuff. And that diversity really starts to spark interesting questions, because you could have somebody that does, pick a number, $65 million in revenue, who, has been in that seat for 5-7 years. And you've got a solopreneur who does $250,000, but they're coaching CEOs that are like that. And the impact and the input and the discussions that go on because of that diversity are huge. But it all starts with people being like situated.
Yeah. Yes. Now let's talk about the components of Quade, all of the things that are offered. So we have our circles where the allies gather on a regular basis. I'm going to come back to the investment of time and money here in just a minute, but I want to walk through outside of the circle, the peer group session, the other things that Quade offers, like Sphere, like Quade University, like the Leadership Lab. Walk us through these components. Earlier, you said, yeah, I was checking out a lot of different peer group offerings, and I just didn't find the one that had the right components. So you've designed that. Talk about the specific design of these different offerings.
Yeah, really funny how this thing has evolved because, I've shared the story with you. This thing started, it was supposed to be a lifestyle business for me, honestly. I was going to have a couple of groups and that was going to keep me busy and I was going to moderate them and we're not going to do anything big. And so we did that. And then we kept getting referrals from folks and we started like, all right, well, I'll do another circle. And I'll never forget Melanie Allen came up to me one day, who was in my second circle. Melanie is the founder and CEO of Green Loop Marketing here in Indy. And she's like, hey, Mark, how do we connect with other allies in the other circles? I'm like, I don't know, Melanie. Like I didn't think about that, right? Like it was not on my master plan. And so she's like, I think we got to do events. I'm like, nope, I am not doing events. Like I am anti-event. I hate organizing them. I hate going to them. She's like, yeah, but I think we need to. I go, fine. So if we're going to do this, we're going to do it my way. And, those who know me, I don't, I'm, I don't like the ordinary, right? I like, if I'm going to do something, I want it to be unique and different and challenge people and all that kind of stuff. So we put together the first thing, which is called Sphere, and Sphere has turned into just an amazing get together of our allies. So it happens every July. It happens in downtown Indianapolis. It is a place to network. It's a place to gain education, but it's only for our allies and members of the Quade community who come together, and we bring in speakers and we talk about topics that you don't ordinarily talk about in business conferences. And I've actually called it the unconference because I hate conferences so much. So like we have soft seating, we have couches, we have love seats, we have whatever, but we're talking about different things. So we've talked about politics. We've talked about mind, body, and soul. We've talked about scaling companies. We've talked about culture. We've talked about this year. We're going to pop in some religion. Like we haven't announced it yet, but I am so pumped at what we're going to do. So Sphere has become this amazing thing where we come together and these folks unite in this casual, comfortable, authentic, genuine space to get to know each other and learn from each other. So you start with the circle, like you said, of 10 like situated people who are moderated by a CEO experienced circle director. But then you've got Sphere. One of the things that we've started is this podcast, right? So Igniting the CEO Within spawned from really Nikki's idea, honestly, of, hey, how do we tell the stories of your allies because they're so powerful? So, if you think about that, our guests are only our allies and they get to tell their story and they get to highlight their businesses and their expertise and their experiences and all that kind of stuff. That is so cool. And I fought it. Nikki knows I fought this thing. Like I didn't want to do it. Like, what are they going to learn from me? And all of a sudden now we've got, I don't know, 20,000 downloads or something ridiculous. Like who's listening to me? Well, they're not. They're listening to our allies, which is really cool. So we did that. We're launching a webinar series this year, a series of 6. And again, these are topics. Healthcare shakeup is one. We're bringing in an expert who helps people write books for another one. We're going to talk about the fitness and nutrition for executives. So it's just, again, topics that aren't ordinarily covered for CEOs in these venues, but that webinar series is only for people in the Quade community, so our allies and so forth. We've launched Quade University, and underneath Quade University, we have something called the Leadership Lab. And again, this is another one where we're tapping into the experiences and expertise of our Quade allies. So we've recruited allies and we're recording them. They're 20-minute little master classes. Nikki's recorded one that talks about the importance of communication throughout an organization. Chrissy Edgington has talked about building a brand. Tina Moe has talked about the building blocks or tax breaks for business owners and that type of thing. So we want to offer the expertise to a wider, broader community. This year we partnered with my alma mater, Butler University, to offer Quade University at the Lacey School of Business. It's a 2-day on-campus, in-classroom, I don't know what you call it, class, I guess, that we're focusing on customer engagement. And everybody that attends will walk away with a specific game plan for how to boost customer engagement throughout your entire organization. So, Nikki, like this lifestyle business has really changed, and we've listened to our allies and what they want and what they need and how best to do it. And now my total focus is on building this community of CEOs and business owners that they can reach out across to CEOs across the country and say, "Hey, I'm dealing with this scenario. How did you do it?" And to get feedback and input of, "Hey, when I was in that situation, I did this and I screwed it up, but then I rebounded and went this. So you can avoid, X and do Y instead." So this community thing is amazing, and I am so proud of what we're building. We'll dive back into the conversation in just a moment, but first, a quick word from one of our strategic partners, Ice Miller. For more than a century, Ice Miller has helped clients navigate the full range of legal and business issues they face. Whether it be in the boardroom or the courtroom, our lawyers have evolved with the marketplace, providing sound counsel when you need it the most. Though our Midwest roots run deep, we serve clients from coast to coast and bring to bear international capabilities and insights. As a cohesive team, Ice Miller stands ready to provide cutting-edge legal solutions tailored to you. Learn more at icemiller.com.
Oh, love that. Okay, so you heard Mark. Hey, I'm just doing this as a lifestyle business. We're not doing events. Podcasting? Heck no. So keep an open mind to opportunity. Never say never. You just got to find the better way that really
Yep.
fits and is in alignment for you as a CEO and growing your business. So many good nuggets there. And Mark, taking us back to you talking about the power of diversity and CEOs from all different places and knowledge spaces and walks of life. I remember at Sphere last year, the panel of diverse, there's like 4 or 5 up there. And I remember so clearly this topic that I learned around projection planning for growth and how to price right and how to look at that. There was a national restaurant chain of a gentleman who started a restaurant in a garage. We all know the name of this restaurant that I'm forgetting right now.
City Barbecue. Yep. City Barbecue.
City
Rick Miller.
Barbecue. That's right. I was like, I know it. I can see the sign, but yeah, started in a garage, and he was sharing some insights on a profound smack in the face that helped him understand, like, we're never going to grow if we're pricing things this way. And I'm spending my time as the owner doing this activity. And I just remember how much I picked up from that. So just, yeah, the power of whether, I'm not even close to the restaurant business in what I do, right? I mean, I'm in media, but what I picked up from someone in the restaurant industry and was just so inspired. So
Yeah, that's cool. No, I love that. And I think that's the perfect scenario. So even going back to when you first started, that was the importance of being open-minded, but you also have to surround yourself with people that are going to push you and challenge you, just like you did to me, right? You've done 2 things, right? First of all, you forced me to do a virtual a virtual circle, and I said, "There's no way that'll work," and you're like, "Yes, it will." So you're going to do it. I'm like, okay. And we did. And it's a rousing success. And so that and the podcast, again, I had to get comfortable with how I could make it my own and be authentic to Mark, and Quade. But if I had never met you, if I'd never hung around you, if I'd never had that open mind, and you and other people, and Melanie and all these people that are come up with these ideas that I'd never thought of, never wanted to do, but I listened to it and I figured out how to make it mine, or how to make it Quade-like. That's some powerful shit. And that happens every freaking day in circles.
yeah. Totally. The power of being around inspired individuals, right? Like,
Yeah.
and passionate individuals, people that love what they do and are willing to share and they're abundant. Like, yeah, we could go on forever.
Oh my God, the energy that I leave every meeting that I'm in, the energy is amazing because again, you're surrounded by 10 or 11 people that are like situated, that want to grow, that want to scale, that want to do the right things, that believe in culture, that believe, man, it is the best day of my week every time.
Yeah, totally. Okay, well, this leads right into, wait, 4-hour meetings? These are 4 hours? And wait, you're asking for thousands of dollars of investment? So definitely those things come up when someone is new to Quade. Maybe they've never been in a peer group. Maybe it's different than something of the past that was just a 1 hour session. Let's talk about, that investment of 4 hours. First of all, it goes by so fast. It's unbelievable. Even me in the virtual sessions, I work with people all across the country. So I told Mark it just really made more sense for me with we are a remote first company. We're working with people from all over. It would just make more sense for me to have that virtual opportunity. And because I want to bring my friends from across the country in. So I didn't want to limit just Indy, but even in a virtual circle, that 4 hours flies by. The investment of money, it's like that one idea from the restaurant owner that's not even close to what I do, right? But help me to understand really how to scale a certain division of what we're doing and how to price right. I'm like, I don't even know the price tag on that, but it's definitely 5x. Just that tip right there,
Yeah.
what I've invested in Quay. But talk about, Mark, you get that pushback, like four
Oh yeah.
hours and how much money, right? Tell us about, your approach to that.
Well, as CEOs and business owners, right, we're geared to think about ROI, return on investment, and you want to see it in real dollars. So if I'm going to write a $7,500 check every year, which is what it costs to join Quade, I want to see $7,500. I want to see $15,000 in return, whatever. And I will tell you, man, like, so how do you quantify? Let me ask this. How do you quantify? This is rhetorical. How do you quantify coming up with that idea, right? How do you quantify being able to have somebody listen to you about the challenge that you're facing and for them to share an experience or a connection or whatever that helps you get through that then clears your mind so that you can focus on growing your company and doing the right things or helping your family, right? Like, we do something called an exploration where everybody's assigned and they do it, at least once a year, if not more, if there's a pressing opportunity. And, we've had everything from, hey, I'm looking at an acquisition and laying out the numbers of what it looks like and financially and all that kind of stuff. And people can drive around that and ask questions and poke holes and all that kind of stuff. But we also talk about we've had this situation occur. We just discovered my daughter's an alcoholic and I don't know how to handle that. Right. And somebody in that circle, in your circle, is going to raise their hand and say, hey, look, it might not have been my daughter, but it was my niece. And my brother-in-law handled this perfectly. And here are the connections that they used. How do you quantify that? That's what I want to know. How do you quantify that when you walked away and now you're able to help somebody? That it's unquantifiable. 4 hours a month, like you're literally, and we meet 10 times a year. You're talking 40 hours a year. That's not worth your investment. Come on, man. Like the ideas, the people getting pushed, being held accountable. Like, think about it, Nikki. Like, and you have this, you've been stewing on this thing. Who in your organization, as the owner of your company, can actually hold you accountable for your actions? Nobody. But you get around and you've got a set of 10 peers that are sitting there and you're whining about an opportunity or a challenge that you're facing and you're not addressing it month after month. They're at some point they're going to go, hey, this is bullshit. You either need to stop whining about it or do something about it. And you're going to do it because you feel responsible for them. They're independent of you, but they care about you and they want to see you thrive, and put a value on that. I don't know. It's invaluable. So it is not a dollars and cents. I guarantee your business is going to grow. I guarantee you're going to expand your network. I guarantee you're going to become a better father, a better mother, a better spouse, a better partner, whatever. Quantify that. I don't know how to do it. But something changed my life and I don't know how to put a dollar amount on that.
Yeah, totally. Well, you mentioned the the word exploration. That is Quade language, and I think that just reminded me about the power of just taking us inside, understanding what a meeting, what that 4 hours looks like, just real quickly, because I think that the agenda, that consistent agenda that we follow, is super powerful. And to your point of the story you just shared about exploration and finding out that, I think you said the daughter had an alcohol problem, right? And really digging into that. Every single circle member, every ally gets an experience with that at least once a year.
Yeah.
Can you just walk through what the agenda of a traditional Quade circle looks like?
Yep. We talked about it a little bit. So we open up, and first of all, we talk about confidentiality, and everything that's talked about in a Quade circle is confidential for life. So whether you're together for 5 years or 3 years or 10 years, literally everything that's talked about is confidential for life. So we do a confidentiality reminder. We talk about the mind, body, and soul, and rating yourself from 0 to 100%. So that kicks off the meeting. We then bring in an educational resource. And for me, this is a big change from some other folks that are out there. I like to bring in educational resources that are typically local, but certainly people that you can do business with tomorrow. They're going to come in, they're going to be a subject matter expert on whatever they're talking about. And those topics are dictated by the members of the circle, the allies, and what their needs are. So we'll go out and find a subject matter expert. These are not people that are, I call them performers, the people that are on speaking engagements and they go on tour, and they'll talk to a Quade circle in Indianapolis on one day and a whatever group in Cincinnati, and they're doing the same spiel, and it's just a performance in my mind. So we bring in subject matter experts that you can do business with. So that's the next segment, about an hour. Lots of give and take. As you would guess, being in a group of CEOs, they don't just sit back and be lectured to. There is a lot of give and take. And if somebody presents a 30 PowerPoint slideshow, they're just going to get ripped to shreds, and we'll never get through it all, which is funny. So after that, we'll then do updates. So what are 2 or 3 things that are going on in your world? Again, it could be personal, it could be family, it could be professional, whatever, but just to keep everybody updated on what's going on in their lives. And then we do the exploration. And an exploration is an opportunity or challenge that you're facing. Again, could be professional, could be family, could be personal, but you dictate what you want from your allies. So you say, hey, look, I just need you to listen to me whine for 20 minutes, right? Or it could be, I'm looking at a situation. I would love your feedback and what you did when you were in that situation. Or I'm looking for specific connections, but you dictate what that is. You'll do that at least once a year. If you have a pressing need, we'll bump you, and we'll bump your need up, and you'll take over that day. We end every session with an accountability piece. So what's one thing you're going to accomplish between now and when we meet again? And it could be read a book, lose 5 pounds, fire my HR director, whatever it is. When you do your update, you'll lead off with that. Did I accomplish that or not? And if not, your allies are going to say, why the hell not? Right. And that's where that accountability piece. So that's a Quade meeting. And, when you say it out loud like that, it sounds like a really simple agenda. We knock some shit out in 4 hours. And to your point, Nikki, it flies. Like you look at it and you're like, I can't believe it's 12:30 already or whatever.
Yeah. And I feel like everyone says that. They're like, oh my gosh, we only have 15 minutes left, and we're trying to squeeze in the accountability because it's so important. Just to take you inside for a minute as someone that is a circle member on the flip side here. So we do this mind, body, soul check-in in the beginning. And I'm just thinking, I was reflecting as Mark was sharing, walking through this, of all my experiences so far. I remember a time when someone did their check-in and had just gotten really devastating family news. And typically that section is 5 minutes. Would you say, Mark? Probably.
Yep.
Go around
Yep.
the horn real quickly. I think that it extended out for probably 30 minutes because it's just what was needed, right? So I love that Quade it flexes to the needs of the group, right? Like yes, the agenda says this, we typically follow these sections of time, but we're here for what's really needed. Another thing I wanted to mention was I have a couple of really good friends long before Quade that are in different circles. So we share notes on things, and we're all like raving fans of this AI educator that came in to really break down AI from okay, here's the concepts, but here's exactly how you can apply it. Here's some prompts to try. I'm going to send you I think it was like a 4-page guide for things that we could take and do. And all of us were using it in different ways. And we're in a separate group together as friends and just real deal stuff. Sometimes you have speakers and it's like, okay, yeah, that was good. I took a couple things away. It's like practical application, like digging in. We're talking to friends about these things because they're what's really needed now. So just wanted to bring that up. And I know, Mark, this itself is going really fast. Before we talk about for people that are listening and they're like, hey, I am in Quade and I want to figure out how to advance this. Oh, Sphere's coming up. Make sure you get your ticket. Or for people that are hearing this and they're like, I'm really intrigued. Like, how could I learn more about getting involved? You want to share anything we're missing and guide people on next steps?
Yeah, I think, for me, it's so important. People. So here's what I'll say. People always ask, what are the criteria to join Quade? And I'm like, there aren't any. Like, it's, are you a CEO? Are you a business owner? Are you an entrepreneur? Whatever. There's no revenue requirements, but it does boil down. It's the right type of person, right? I want good people, but I want people who want to scale, who want to grow, who want to be successful, who want to lead people the right way, who believe in culture, who, steal from you, who put people first, right? Who want to move forward and that type of stuff. So it really boils down to, are you mentally and willing to be vulnerable and to share and to hold each other accountable and be held accountable and, be a good person and celebrate the differences of your allies and all that kind of stuff. So, like, I hate to even call it an application, but you fill out online at quadecircle.com. You fill out an information sheet that starts the whole process. And then I personally vet everybody that joins the Quade Circle because I want to know who you are. I want to know that you're the right type of people. I walked away from people that I just didn't feel like fit who we are and told them. Like, I know with one guy who just wouldn't stop talking, right, about himself. Like they weren't a listener. And I'm like, dude, that ain't it, man. And he's like, all right. So, but it's so that's it. So I think, getting involved with the Leadership Lab, which is free for literally anybody, because you can learn so much from these master classes. So the Leadership Lab is free. That'll dip your toe into it. But then we can talk about different ways to get involved with Quade. So, you can find me on LinkedIn. You can find us on, at quadecircle.com. We're doing some good stuff. We've got an amazing team that puts out some really high quality pieces and thought leadership, and again tapping into this amazing community that we're building has been pretty powerful.
It's awesome. I can't wait to be part of the evolution as it grows in the future. And I will use that word evolution very strongly because just what I've seen in the past couple of years, it's constant new ideas from circle members and, that's what's been shaping this. It's only going to continue to mold and shape based on who comes in and the new ideas and just, future's going super fast with technology and all the things, who knows? So this has been so fun to shine a light, and I highly encourage people to get with Mark, have a conversation, and definitely join us for Sphere. Find your spot on one of those love seat couches and hunker down and enjoy your time. Might even be a dance party thrown in there. Definitely some good cocktails and food. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, Mark, anything else, closing comments before we go? Or
I mean, this has been fun. It's been fun to be on the other side of this. Again, one of the reasons we started this was to be able to share those origination stories of how our CEOs, how our allies have gotten to that CEO role or the entrepreneurial role, and they're all different, and I think mine is no different. I mean, hell, I didn't start my own company till I was 54 years old or something like that. So everybody takes a different path to get there, and it's amazing, and all of them are accurate, all of them are appropriate, all of them are the right thing to do. So yeah, well, first of all, I love hanging out with you, so I appreciate you doing this, but yeah, but being able to share these stories has been really, really powerful for me.
Awesome.
Gang, we did it again. Here's another story of how CEOs got to where they are and where they're going. Until next time, I'm Mark McFatridge. We'll see you soon.
Thank you for joining today's conversation. If our discussion has sparked your interest in our community of unapologetically authentic leaders, head on over to QuadeCircle.com, where you can learn more about Quade and take our exclusive CEO Mindset Assessment to help elevate your leadership journey. Remember to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform and leave a review to help us continue delivering valuable insights and inspiring stories from top business leaders.